So Randall goes and he finds his dad. Was it his dad first or his mom first? I'm trying to remember. He said, Dad, I want to go visit this college. Like, because his dad was going to take him. He's like, Harvard. You know, I was like, just sounds good coming out of my mouth. Harvard. He's like, actually, Dad, I would love to go to this other school, Howard. It's in D.C., and I kind of want to check it out. It's about 4 hours away. He's like, all right, man, we'll get around to it. He's like, can we go this Friday? Because that's when they're meeting and everything. He's like, well, Kev's got a game this Friday. He's like, Kev got a game every Friday. You know what I'm saying? He always has a game. Like, he wasn't letting it go.
Yeah.
He wasn't being pushy, but he was like, can we do it? And he's like, yeah, we can do it. And you
kind of a first for Randall.
Yeah,
you know,
like asserting himself.
Absolutely. And like in a very effective but definite manner.
Adult.
He's like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool. And he's just beaming.
Like he's thought about it.
Yeah,
he has
he's
a
thought
plan.
long and hard because you know that who's Rye's character on that show?
Yvette.
Yvette's son. Yvette has a son that's already there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Keith. That's right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if people didn't make that, it took me a second to make that connection. Yeah. But I was like, oh, right.
Yeah. So he agrees to go. You see the same scene retold 3 times, like everybody at the door, Kev being like, oh, don't worry, man, I got plenty of fans.
Ugh. Every time it just makes you cringe.
And I have to give Niles credit because Niles, what he does with the corniness that is Randall is, whereas like I sort of lean into like, he just goes, see hello, cool K. Like he's like, it's a dumb line, but he's like, bye, hello, cool K. And then I evolve it to like, hey, hello, cool K. Like it's just like put a little sauce on it.
Sure. The confidence arrives.
There you go.
Real quick, I think the interesting mirror of this episode is Randall and Jack pushing the limits of fatherly connection.
Yeah.
Right? Like really trying to see how far they can
take it.
Get in there. Just hold their kids.
Sure. So they get to campus, to this point, Chris. They get to campus and there's Keith and a bunch of his friends and they're like, yo, what up, RP? How you doing? And he's so excited. I also love they both have on the same kind of coats. Jack and Randall.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's got like the sort of like pea coat, long sort of thing. Yeah. And everybody else is dressed differently. Yeah. Right? And they're about to join the college tour. And then Keith's like, actually, I was going to show them around some of my friends and everything like that. Have it be a little less formal. He's like, well, you got to show them everything, Keith. Make sure
a real tour.
A real tour. And he's like, okay. And just Niles' face, he's just beaming. Mm-hmm. He's just so happy to be in this place, right? And you feel Jack like, oh, okay. I thought it was going to be this one thing. You see Jack kind of by himself, what have you, but then you see Randall go through a lot of things, right? He's meeting new people, et cetera. They're showing him the campus. A couple of sisters walk by.
And he's like, okay.
It's like a Cheshire cat, man. Like he can't stop grinning from ear to ear. Just so happy. Then there's this conversation where he's talking to the guys. He's like, he goes like, my high school is pretty much all white. And they're like, yeah, mine too. He's like, yeah, mine too. Because I think there's this expectation that everybody here is going to have like this quote unquote Black experience that I haven't had. And so to those guys saying that like, man, my high school is kind of like that too. Mm-hmm. My high school is like that too. There's a place for you in this space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to feel like you are outside of it. Like we all come from a similar sort of thing. And you see him just ease into it even more and more and more, right? So they're out on the quad at the end of the thing, and Jack's walking up because it's time to get back. They got to get back to everything. And you see Randall kind of go quiet a little bit, and it's like, oh, Dad, I want you to meet people. There's a little bit of a hesitation, if you will. And he goes, well, it's time for us to go. He's like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, we got to get out of here. So he says goodbye to all the fellas. They like, hey, man, can't wait to see you. Like, it's all love, right? They get in the car and they're driving back. The afterglow, Niles kills this, man. He's just
beaming.
Warm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every part of his fiber is just like
activated.
Yeah. And he's like, how was it? And he's like, it's great. It's great. Also, I have to make my voice deeper to catch up with Niles because he's like, it was great, Dad. And he says, there was a moment there where it seemed like you didn't want to introduce me to your friends or what have you. And he's like, oh. He's like, well, I didn't want to introduce, not because you're white, it's because
you're old.
You're old, right? And Jack was like, oh, okay. Still not 100% convinced, but like, I'll take you at your word. And he goes, but Dad, you know that feeling that you felt when you didn't feel accepted for that moment, when I didn't introduce you, feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
And
off balance is how he put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I love about this conversation is that it's a conversation between a young Black man and a white man who love each other. And I think this is one of the magic things of this. Conversations that are difficult still transpire. And just because they're difficult doesn't mean they need to be had. But because you know that there's love on this side and love on this side, I can tell you the truth and you will meet me where I am.
Yeah.
Right? I wish that was a more readily available thing that we practiced.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Or just even coming from a place of love so that you don't immediately vilify someone that has something to tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Jack hears him. He's like, we'll make one more stop. And he shows him the wall.
The Vietnam Memorial
in D.C. And he talks about how, you know, he was in the war and he got drafted when he was 25. And a lot of things changed for him. He's like, there's some things it's hard to talk about. I don't even tell your mom about it, what have you. But when I first got back, I kind of felt out of balance and out of place too. It was a moment for me of real sort of like, he empathizes.
Yeah.
Like he didn't dismiss how he felt. He's like, listen, it may not be the exact same thing.
Sure, but I'm going to find a way in.
Yeah, but I felt what you felt. And I'm going to tell you from my experience, it comes and goes, right? There are times in which you feel a part of and there's times that you feel on the outside of it. But you just keep showing up, basically, because you belong. And he says, oh, Milo, is it extraordinary? Is
Spectacular. I wrote spectacular.
He goes, whatever choices you make, dog, like you need to trust them and lean into them and go with them because you're spectacular.